Hello beautiful people, I'm DJ and welcome back to my channel DJ Cooks and Books. And although it is little late, happy new year everybody. So let's get quickly started with some of my top books of 2024. I have 10 total books. I'm going from top 10 to top 1, and my last two on the list happened to be two non-fiction books that I read. And number 10 was Jeanette Winterson's The Glass Castle, and it's about Jeanette's childhood with her siblings and her parents, who are sort of hippies, and they have addiction issues, they are reckless, they are struggling to with mental health issues, and they are themselves not very mature people, and how that affects Jeanette growing up as a 4-year-old, from 4 or 5-year-old to where she becomes a little more stable, and how her parents are still maybe homeless. And it's wild. I could not have imagined a childhood like that. The one anecdote I remember from the book made a huge impression on me, where they were moving from one town to other, and in the moving truck, the three children, who were all under 10 years old, were made to sit inside the moving sort of the box behind the truck. I mean, it's totally enclosed, there are no windows, it's totally dark, and there is cupboards and all that stuff that you are moving, furniture and stuff, and these kids are made to sit inside because they don't have enough space in the front to sit for the mom, dad and three children, and it's not, I think, allowed by the rules to maybe like have so many people in the front. And how, I don't know, but somehow the door of the truck on the back opens, the latch opens without them doing anything, and one of the kids just falls down from the back, and they are still okay. I mean, mild spoilers, but they are still okay. And I could not imagine being okay after that mentally, if physically I'm somehow fine. But these kids, when even if their hair caught on fire, they just become more and more resilient. I mean, talk about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's quite a book. And it's non-fiction which reads like fiction, because the things are wild. Reality is stranger than fiction. And if you want to read something totally bizarre but also kind of motivational, kind of giving you a little bit of a sense of gratitude for your own childhood, which might not be as jubilant as they had in this book, go for it. But I still gave it 4 stars. The next book is the only other non-fiction I read last year, and I need to read more non-fiction, but that comes at top 9. This one comes at top 9, and it's The Bookshop Woman by Nanako Hanada. And it's such a wild concept when I read it, until Nanako joins an online matching site that offers 30 minutes with someone who will never see you again. Describing herself as a sexy bookseller, she offers to recommend the perfect book in exchange for a meeting. In the year that follows, Nanako meets hundreds of people, from some of whom want more than just a book recommendation. And that's how the story goes. This is a bookseller who has been working in her job. She's in mid-30s. She's going through some problems in her marriage, and she just decides to go for a dating site where she just meets random people. I mean, she has been separated from her husband, and she decides to just meet new people and give them book recommendations. That just sounds amazing to somebody who likes to make book recommendations to people, strangers, everybody, friends, family. And it's pretty freaking cool. Like, at least in the beginning it was really cool. It does get a little bit dull inside, and there are some really cool recommendations. Like, I have underlined a lot, and I have made notes to myself, like check this book out, check that book out. Some of the Japanese books that are mentioned in this book do not have their translations yet in English, and some of them do have. So I'm a little bit like, sometime in future I might just go and rummage through the book recommendations. There is like a whole list in the back, I think, of all the books recommended, and whether they have their translations or not is also probably written. Yeah, this is like chapter wise book recommendations. That helps a lot. And she also tells how her personal life is going on in the background, which was also very interesting. But it does have its little dull moments, and some of the Japanese books you do not know the context of, and that might not make the best reading time. Check this out though, like I recommend it wholeheartedly because this is such a unique concept, and it's a very quick book to get through if you just like manage to get over the hump in the middle. Little bit it gets a little repetitive, but I really liked it, so I also gave this one a 4-star. And the next one, these are my top 8 books, and at number 8, and all of them are fiction. At number 8, look at this. Bata or Butter by Asako Yuzuki. This was a phenomenon last year. What can I say? Everybody was reading this, and the synopsis made me so interested, and it's amazing. There are 2 things that I simply cannot tolerate: feminists and margarine, says the protagonist, Manako Kaji, who is kind of convicted of serial killings, like murders of lonely businessmen, and she is said to have seduced them with her delicious home cooking. So it's her feminine wiles, and she is really a gourmand, and she loves butter. She just has this simple recipe where she asks another female protagonist in the story, who is a reporter or investigative reporter, journalist, and she tells that woman to just make fresh rice and add a knob of butter on top, and cold butter, and that too also some special kind, and eat it before it's totally like melted on top of it. So the contrast between the cold butter and really hot steaming rice is going to create some sort of magic. If you have watched those animes, Japanese animes, where the food looks like magic, literally, I think you will love this if you like that. Like, the food descriptions are amazing. I am a vegan, and I was drooling at the butter thingy, rice butter. I might try it with vegan butter sometime, but I don't think she would approve. She just hates margarine and all sorts of other substitutes for butter, this Manako Kaji woman. But at least I'm safe from getting murdered if she doesn't like me, or she doesn't want to approach me or to seduce me with the butter. And I wouldn't say too much about it. There is the other protagonist, Rika, who is interviewing Manako Kaji as she is being tried in the court. She has the opportunity to go and visit her in the prison, I think, and talk to her and get the scoop behind the scenes. How did she commit these alleged murders, or what happened to her, basically. It's a wild read. It's pretty fun. I would recommend it. I also gave this a 4-star. And after this, I think all of the top 7 have been 5-star books. So even this one is like close to 5. I think it kind of is 4, maybe 4.25 or something like that. I highly recommend it. It's wild, it's fun, it's kind of dark, support women's rights and women's wrongs. And there is a lot of wrong about this woman, but yeah, do recommend it wholeheartedly. Number 7 on the list is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. Rich, poor, privilege difference, pretty privilege difference, queer longings, queer baiting, children's innocence, and children having to suffer consequences of their parents' bad decisions or negligence are some of the themes handled in this book. And I found it very endearing how it is written. So it is a story of this woman who went to a boarding school on a scholarship because her mother couldn't afford to give her a proper education. There she meets a rich girl, entitled, and then there is a lot of things that happen, and the poor girl has to go and withdraw herself from the school. Years later, the rich girl becomes a trophy wife sort of a politician, and the poor girl is living paycheck to paycheck. And the rich girl stayed friends with the poor girl. Sometimes she feels like to make herself feel better about not being as poor as her or something like that. But the poor girl has had a crush on this rich girl for a long time, and so she also stayed friends with her. And she has received a phone call from the rich girl saying that she has a job opportunity for her, and the job is to be a nanny for her stepchildren who have a very unique but very troublesome condition of spontaneously catching fire when they are upset or angry or something is bothering them. It's very funny. It doesn't hurt them or it doesn't burn them, the fire. It feels like it's coming from within them, from their anger, and it's quite difficult to handle. And he doesn't want them to make like news and stuff like that. And human connection is a big theme. In the later half, it just again warms your heart. Or melts your cold heart depending on how cold or frigid it is. Jokes aside, I love this book and I would like to read more from this author, Kevin Wilson. Please check it out. I gave it 5 stars. Do recommend. Book number 6 and 5 are both by the same author. And here starts our Irish festival, sort of. So I recently read 2 books by Claire Keegan. I discovered this author in 2024 and I'm so grateful for it. Book number 6 is Foster, in which a little girl is sent to live with her aunt and uncle because her parents are expecting another baby and they have their hands too full of all the children, and they are financially also not that well off, but the aunt and uncle seem to be a little bit better off than them, and the aunt and uncle do not have a child at home, so they decide to foster her or take care of her until the baby arrives, and then the mom has a little more time to dedicate to taking care of her other children. And it's a very, very short book. Both of these are, this one and the next one, but they pack a punch. They make you feel things. They are emotionally charged. This uncle and aunt, they seem like little distant, maybe little stern, but they are very kind people. And this little girl, you see some scenes from the little girl's point of view, and they are very wholesome, very heartwarming, and I loved it. And I think you will love the book too. I give it a 5 stars and no questions asked. Please read it. And the next book, book number 5, is Small Things Like These by the same author, Claire Keegan, and it's about a guy who has a business of delivering firewood to village, different establishments and houses in the village in an Irish town. And he has a beautiful family. He has a beautiful wife and 5 daughters who are studying, are very clever and artistic, and he has his family is very big source of pride for him. He's a family man, but he doesn't come from a full family. His mother was a single mother, and Ireland has a very dark past of treating single women having children very badly. And luckily this main character was raised in a big house, and the employer of his mother supported her, and she sort of took care of him as well since he was a child. Similar themes as Foster, maybe a little bit, that somebody other than your parents or your mother is taking care of you or supporting you and sort of adopts you. And this man has not forgotten that. He does not know who his father is, and suddenly, when as an adult he is faced with a dilemma of whether he should help a woman who is about to become a single unwedded mother, or he should just go on and live his life, focus on his own family. And it's very, very difficult. He's struggling to reconcile his past with his present. And this woman who lives in a convent in the town, she's expecting a baby, and the nuns over there are a little bit strict on her, harsh on her. And when the guy goes to the convent to deliver the firewood for them, he sees her condition and he feels pity for her. And it's a very, very, very warm, heartwarming novel. And it's about just whether humans take the plunge to help other humans, and what is it that goes in somebody's heart before they decide to go for it and help somebody, even if that means people are going to talk some shit behind their backs about them. It cannot be helped. It's just you have to be thick-skinned even just to be kind to somebody else. I really like it. The messages resonated with me a lot, and I gave both these books 5 stars, and I highly, highly recommend them to you. They are smaller books, maybe 100-ish pages, maybe something like that, and you should read them, whoever you are. So that is my book number 5. And book number 4 is A Prayer for Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers is a sci-fi author, and last year I read the first book in this robot and monk duology, which was a psalm for a wild build. And this one is the second one, which is A Prayer for the Crown Shy. And in this one there are 2 main characters. One of them is a robot and the other one is a tea monk. Tea monk is somebody who serves people different tea concoctions and listens to them, their grievances, and tries to make them feel better by giving them a warm beverage. And this is a solar punk novel. It's set in a very, very distant future when the Earth civilization has been destroyed once and rebuilt, and there is a clear division between humans and robots, and technology is not used in day-to-day life. as much as it is currently used, and there are multiple reasons, and the first book details those reasons. The second book is when the robot comes to the human civilization after a long time of being separated, and learns new things about human life and what is a baby. The robot does not know what is a romantic relationship between two humans, and it's very interesting. The human character Monk is, I think, non-binary. I don't think they're mentioned by he, him, or she, her pronouns. I think they are always pronouns. Their pronouns have always been them, they, them, I think, in the book, and which is very interesting. And I like the fact that there is this representation of human being as a human being for the robot to get to know. And the robot goes and meets different people in different areas where humans inhabit the parts of the earth. Is it set on earth? I don't think it is even set on earth. It might be set on another place, and I think the place is called Pangea or something like that. I love these books. This duology is amazing. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars again, and I loved the book a lot. So that was book number 4. I mean, I also love the cover of this one. I have most of these books I read on audio, or one or two of them I read on Kindle, and some of them I read on paper, like copies like this. I love the cover of this book. The cover art is really cute. I mean, there is a little cute card and I really like this. And the first book also has a very nice cover, so I thought I should mention it. Okay, let's move on to book number 3. We are in our top 3, and the book number 3 is Carolyn O'Donoghue's The Rachel Incident. Let me read the synopsis. Everyone in Cork remembers the Rachel incident, but what really happened? It's simple, it's complicated, it's about love, sex, and friendship. It's definitely about betrayal, and above all, it's the story of Rachel and James, two 20-somethings who met at a bookshop, became best friends, and spent one unforgettable year screwing up and growing up. So this book is amazing, and this book, I don't like the cover of this book that much. I mean, what is it? And it has a sticker that says nominated for TikTok Book Awards. I don't know. It's hilarious, wise, and wonderfully written, says Graham Norton, and it's a really good book. It's again Irish book, and it has this typical Irish youthful charm that I like in Sally Rooney books. But this one is also like Sally Rooney's stories, and if someone who has read all the Sally Rooney books and wants another book recommendation that is a little bit similar in nature, vibes, then this could be a good book. It's about these two 20-somethings, like it said on the back, Rachel and James, and they are best of friends platonically, and there is a lot going on in their lives, and they are 20-somethings and they are stuck a little bit. They don't have money, they are broke, and it just brings you back to your 20s. I'm almost 35 this year, so I really felt nostalgic. I did not do anything as crazy as these people were doing things in this book, like going to a lot of parties and drinking and stuff like that, and I didn't move to New York. I didn't do anything super extraordinary like these people went on to do, some of them at least, in the book. And it's a little bit sad that I couldn't do a lot of things like these people did, and it's still though very nice to remember your youth and some of the good things that happened to you when you were young, and how naive you were, how you were full of hopes and dreams, and this book reminds you of that. It's very tender at some parts, and it's a very fun, nostalgic book to read. Recommend it highly for people who like Sally Rooney. That was book number 3, top 3 book, and recommended 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that was my top 2nd book, or top 2 book, was Not a River by Selva Almada. Selva Almada is an Argentinian author, I think, and the work has been translated from its original Spanish to English, and it was a really poignant read. It's about 3 men who go fishing on a riverbank, and the river is situated near a village. There is very dark, dense woods between the village and the riverbank, and that woods is my favorite atmospheric description that I have read probably the whole year. And for alone just the nature of this description, surreal description of the woods, I would recommend that you watch that. Read. It's almost like I'm recommending a movie because it is so good, the description. And these three men who are fishing on the boat in this river, they catch a huge stingray and then let it rot on a tree branch. And the locals do not like that. They see that these three people do not value the natural resources, and they decide to take basically revenge against these three men and teach them a lesson, and how these three people basically survive an attack on their life. Or do they survive, all of them? Do they? Or is there some kind of ghost activity going on? There is a boat sort of in the middle of the river. Who's rowing the boat? Do not know. There is a lot of surreal, magical realism sort of elements of the story. I really liked how atmospheric this book is, and I recommend that you read it. I also want to read the two other books in this loose trilogy of Selva Almada's translated works, and this year I'm going to read those. I'm really looking forward to reading those. And then book number 1, my top read of 2025, is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. It is about Peter, who is 33, 34, and Ivan, who is 22, 23. They are brothers. They have lost their father recently. They are grieving. Peter is a professor. He used to date Sylvia, who for some reason decided to end the relationship a few years ago, maybe 5 or more than 5 years ago, but they are still really good friends. Peter seems to be struggling to let Sylvia go, although he is also involved with a college student. I forgot that college student's name, but she's a young woman who thinks life is a joke and she doesn't take life seriously. She's doing alcohol, drugs, or some sort of weird internet findom thing, and she's also using Peter for his money, but she's also kind of in love with Peter. He's juggling those two relationships. And Ivan, who has not really been in a relationship before, he is sort of a loner. Peter does not like how he is a socially awkward sort of person, loner. But Ivan also meets somebody at a chess event. He is a chess player, Ivan, and he goes to some village, and the recreational center had him playing against 10 players simultaneously, one move at a time, and he wins all 10 of them. It's impressive. And the person who is kind of working at the art center or the community center is a woman who is even older than Peter. Ivan is 23 or 22, and she's 34 or 36, and they kind of start a relationship, although there is a big age gap. And Ivan seems a little bit reluctant to let any people in his life know about their relationship, and this woman who is older than Ivan, she also does not want to be open about their relationship because she lives in a small town and people talk, and even her own mother is still not very accepting of her separation with her husband. There is a long dark history there, and all of them are struggling. All of them are grieving of something or some part or somebody who they have lost. Peter and Ivan's mother had divorced their father and has remarried a long time ago, but she's also trying to reconnect with her two sons, but she has her own way of communicating with them. She's a peculiar woman as well, and everybody has their peculiar ways. They do care in their own way about each other as a family. There is some connection, there is some kind of love, but there is also a lot of pride that is stopping them from talking to each other. There is a lot of hurt that has happened in the past that is stopping them from having a frank conversation and helping each other out. There is a lot of mental health troubles that Peter is facing. I think he's depressed, and Ivan is more introverted and he doesn't express himself that well, and that disconnect between these brothers, like, they go through a lot of problems in their individual lives, and they are still unable to connect and help each other out, which is exactly what they should be doing. It's very tender. All these things, all these misunderstandings, they do happen in real life, and it's very realistic and it's really nice. And Sally Rooney in one of her interviews also says that it's about human beings not being an island. They need other people. We can't live on our own. We can't be self-sufficient and not be dependent on anybody for emotional support. We have to depend on other people, and we have to have human connections to have a fulfilling life. And how true is that? I really like this book a lot, and I think you will like it too. I really like the audiobook as well. I think it is read by Anna Hardwick, who is an actor, narrator, and I really like that audio version also. So I recommend this wholeheartedly. So these were my top 10 books of 2024. I read total of 31 books, and 10 of these are the best ones, and I'm really glad that I got to read all of them. If you got some book recommendations out of this video, please let me know which ones you want to read. Some of it you might have already read. And if you have any other opinions, or if you agree with my opinions, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to help me out, improve my quality of videos and encourage me a little bit to make more videos and better videos, please share my content with your friends or somebody who might appreciate a video about books. And I will see you soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.